Hey, what's going on guys? It's BrainBean here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at the all-new Patriot Viper V770 mechanical gaming keyboard. And the guys over at Patriot hooked me up with an extra one of these keyboards because they know how much I like to give back to my subscribers, so I'm going to be doing a giveaway for this one, and I'll have all the details on that at the end of the video. For now, let's go ahead and just take a look at this keyboard. Starting with construction and design, the Patriot Viper V770 is a 109-key mechanical keyboard that features full 109-key rollover. The V770 is comprised of an aluminum backplate that's wrapped in a fairly simplistic plastic covering. Even with the plastic, the keyboard is fairly weighty and has little flex when mashing down on the keys and slightly more when really cranking down on it with your hands. Aesthetically, it's a nice design that doesn't take up too much of your desk space. And if I had to make one complaint here, it's that the Viper logo above the number pad isn't illuminated. Given the rest of the lighting capabilities, which we'll get to here in just a minute, I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity. The V770 does have full 16.8 million color RGB illumination, and paired with the exposed switch design of the clear Kale RGB switches, it makes for some really nice lighting effects. And man, does this keyboard put on a light show. I've said it before, but the RGB Kale switches seem to achieve better colors than that of their Cherry counterparts. That said, there is a slight flicker that you only really notice during the wave effect, and unless you're really looking for it, I doubt you'll notice it's there. The lights are controlled by Patriot's Viper software, which actually surprised me by offering a very large amount of customization options. In addition to that, it's very user-friendly, which is always a plus, and you can save up to 5 custom profiles with up to 10 effects each, and 108 different macro settings, which is a crap ton. On top of having standard RGB backlighting on the keys, the V770 also has a light bar on either side of the keyboard, which I think give the RGB effects a nice accent. I always love it when companies add little flashy extras like that, so it's definitely a plus in my book. But Patriot takes it one step further with the V770 by including a fully RGB magnetic detachable wrist rest. And I'm happy to say that they nailed the execution on this one. It's nice and weighty, and the magnets are nice and strong enough that they'll work well holding the wrist rest firmly on the keyboard. Even when you pick up the V770 off of a desk, the wrist rest just won't fall off. As for the feel of the wrist rest, it has a nice rubbery texture so your wrist won't slide around, and aesthetically, I like the look of the simple light bar with the Viper logo illuminated on the right side. And in case you're wondering, the flickering you're seeing in this shot is from my camera, and it's not something that you'll notice during normal use. The wrist rest also has 4 of its own lighting presets that can be changed independently of the rest of the keyboard, so if you find the lights distracting at times, you can always just turn them off. The keycaps are made of ABS plastic and have a nice clean minimalistic font, and all of the secondary characters are nicely illuminated, which I always appreciate. As I mentioned before, the V770 uses Kale red switches. While not as premium as Cherry MX, unless you're going back and forth between the two switches and have a very keen sense of touch, I doubt anybody's going to notice the difference. Now, where most people get concerned with Kale switches versus Cherry is longevity and quality control. The fact that Patriot offers a 2-year warranty on this keyboard is enough to help me look past the use of Kale switches in this board. The Kale red switch is a linear switch, meaning that there's no tactile bump, so there's a nice smooth travel all the way down until you bottom out the key. And just so you guys can hear for yourself, here is a quick sound test. The V770 boasts a good amount of features too. It has a row of 5 dedicated macro keys, which I always like to have, as well as a slew of dedicated buttons for changing the preset lighting options on the fly and dedicated buttons for changing the brightness. If that wasn't enough, the keyboard also has dedicated media controls and a metal volume scroll wheel, which can also be clicked to mute the audio. There's also a USB and audio pass-through as well. And finally, there's also a little pull-out stand for your phone. So as you can see, the V770 is no slouch in the features department, and it checks every single box on my list. To add to the clean look of the keyboard, it doesn't have any LED indicators, but instead changes the respective keys white when active. I can see this design choice going both ways for some people. On one hand, it keeps the board looking a little bit cleaner, and on the other hand, it can look out of place with some of the lighting effects having white keys scattered around the board. The underside of the keyboard has 6 rubberized pads and 2 rubberized extendable legs to keep the board from going anywhere during use, and the wrist rest also has 6 of its own rubberized pads as well. Because of both of the pass-throughs, the red and black cable is fairly thick and ends in 2 gold-plated USB connectors and mic and headphone jacks as well. Included with the keyboard is a keycap puller and an adapter for your headset if it doesn't use an all-in-one 3.5mm audio jack, which is a nice inclusion because it saves you having to go out and buy something extra. Coming in at the price point of $139.99, I think the Viper V770 is definitely going places. You can tell that a lot of thought went into giving today's PC gamers exactly what they want all in one keyboard. The price is definitely fair considering all of the extras you get. The only real drawbacks for me are the use of kill switches instead of cherry, the choice to use plastic instead of metal in all of the construction, and the lack of in-game integration with the lighting. On its own though, the software is pretty good and I'm really digging this RGB wrist rest. Overall, the V770 really surprised me. With a slew of features and its competitive price, I can easily recommend this keyboard, especially if you're somebody who's into getting a lot of keyboard for your money. Well, that's it for the video, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about all the features they packed into this keyboard, and if you think that it's a good buy at the $139.99 price point. Like I said, I'm going to be giving one of these keyboards away to one of my subscribers, and all you have to do to be eligible for that giveaway is one, after you've liked this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because I've got a lot more videos like this one coming for you in the near future, and I like to give back to my subscribers with giveaways like this one. You can also follow me on Twitter at BrainBeanGaming, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.